Okay, how many films that Bullet of Six Cougar despises? Well, you could say all of bad movies especially. Now, I'm going to talk about the movie that Bullet of Six Cougar really hates, this movie, Uglydolls. Before I begin, to anyone else who likes this movie, your opinion will be handled, as long you can handle Bullet of Six Cougar's opinion. Anyways, in the adorably different town of Uglyville, weirdness is celebrated, strangeness is special, and beauty is embraced as more than meets the eye. After traveling to the other side of the mountain, Moxie and her ugly doll friends discover perfection, a town where more conventional dolls receive training before entering the real world to find the love of a child. Soon, the Uglydolls learn what it means to be different, ultimately realizing that they don't have to be perfect to be amazing. We're going to tell you about bad qualities. 1. Similar to the Emoji Movie, the film feels like it was most likely made just to advertise the Uglydolls series of plushes. It's basically a commercial but disguised as a movie on the inside. It is also similar to films such as the Angry Birds movie, in that it is based on something that isn't popular these days, although the aforementioned film was executed well despite not being any better. 2. Character error. When Mandy turns around to walk out the door, she bumps into the wall and drops her glasses. After she gets her glasses back, she bumps into the same wall again. She can still see the wall even without her glasses on, even though she has blurry vision. So it's very likely she was distracted and wasn't being careful or paying attention to where she was walking to, even though she would feel the door. 3. Failed attempts at humor, with the biggest offenders being the gibberish cat gag and the line "I'm an individual, just like all of you." The gibberish cat also appears multiple times throughout the movie, with the same animation and line of dialogue. In fact, the gibberish cat gag is literally the entire end credits scene. 4. Certain characters just come off as incredibly annoying and can be mean-spirited at times. 1. Notably, Moxie is annoying and uninteresting, as she is overconfident. 2. Lou is a stereotypical leader who is obsessed with fashion and praising people solely for their looks, and as a result, he is a generic antagonist. 5. For some reason, Moxie knows about the big world without there being a scene showing how she began her belief. 6. While the animation itself is pretty good, the visual style it goes for feels a little too reminiscent of the Trolls movies. 7. Like Cats, some of the voice cast aren't even singers, like Wanda Sykes. The non-singers don't do well in their parts to sing. 8. The perfect dolls look like prep school students, even though they are actually adults. They also look more like humans than convincing dolls. 9. The Spy Girls' redemptions are forced on the audience even though they kidnapped and nearly killed Moxie and Mandy, and therefore, they should be punished along with Lou. 10. Pointless pop culture references, such as the film pausing to shove in an Oliver Twist reference. 11. The Uglydolls and Perfect Dolls aren't even all that unique. All of the character groups look the same. 12. Misleading title. The designs for the Uglydolls are really not that ugly at all, as they've been cutesified to appeal to kids. 13. The camera, which scans on Moxie, randomly says "Tell my family I love them" before breaking. And lastly, 14. There is a scene in which the ice spat is sinking in with the boat, indicating that he is attempting to commit suicide, but luckily survives, which is inappropriate for a children's film. But on the bright side, there are some good qualities. Let's give it a try. 1. The animation is actually good and way better than expected, especially since it was made by the studio RealFX Animation Studios, the same company that animated Freebirds, The Book of Life, the first Rock Dog movie, and Scoob. 2. The ending isn't too bad. 3. Despite being a generic antagonist, Lou is a really fun character. 4. Decent voice acting. 1. Nick Jonas in particular gives off a surprisingly fun performance. 2. Kelly's voice acting is certainly an improvement from Justin to Kelly. 3. The decent acting can lead to some fun deliveries. For example, the line "Okay, the big world and children do not exist" isn't all that funny, but the way Wanda Sykes says it is "Okay, the big world and children do not exist" does make it work. 5. Some funny moments here and there. 1. Wage's mental breakdown when Uglyville falls into depression. 2. Wedgehead getting her name via falling out of a pipe. 3. These quotes. 1. Hey, that's the name of our song. 2. I don't want to miss this week's episode of Uglydolls Got No Talent. 6. Most of the music and songs are actually really nice, especially with The Ugly Truth being a fantastic villain song, making the scene it appears in the most entertaining scene in the movie. In fact, Christopher Leonard's musical score is really nice as well. 7. The moral, despite being generic, is actually still important to this day. 8. Wage, Mendy, and Lucky Bat are all likable characters. 9. Lou's backstory, despite being generic, is a bit sad. It also gives viewers an idea about how prototype products work. 10. The scene where Ox tells Moxie and her ugly dolls the truth about perfection, which makes Moxie cry and feel guilty, is heartbreaking and emotional. And finally, we get to 11. The idea of dolls being outcast, despite being cliched, is very nice. Uglydolls ended up receiving generally negative reviews from critics, as well as receiving mixed reviews from audiences. It currently holds a 28% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes as well as a 54% audience score, with its critical consensus saying, very young viewers may be entertained by Uglydolls, if only because they're less likely to recognize the many familiar elements in its affirmative yet formulaic story. It holds a 5.1 on IMDb, as well as a 39 on Metacritic, indicating generally unfavorable reviews. Uglydolls flopped at the box office, with only $32 million being grossed over its $45 to $53 million budget. Some believe that this was because it was released at the time Avengers, Endgame and Pokémon Detective Pikachu were still in theaters. This was the last film to be directed by Kelly Asbury before his death in 2020. Wait, Kelly Asbury died back in 2020? Does anyone else know about this?